Oh, wow. Peter Scully. I am very familiar with Peter Scully. This person is absolutely disgusting. Let me say that. Now let me play the video.
Are monsters created or are they born? It's a question often asked when it comes to certain criminals and their behaviors. But a person truly can't be born evil, can they? Far too many times, these offenders became products of an oppressive environment, which becomes evident later on in life.
By the way, no intro. I'm trying something new.
In the case of Peter Scully, it's safe to say that this monster was in fact created. Who is Peter Scully, you might ask? He is arguably the most infamous person to call the dark web home. To the rest of the world, Peter Scully is a convicted murderer and sex offender who distributed abuse material across the dark web.
By the way, that summary right there is undermining it. If this story came out today, you would just be calling this person a terrorist. However, yeah, there's abuse, murder. It's disgusting. This is one of the most disgusting people in the history of the internet.
He ran a lucrative business where he filmed his abuse of and sold it on the dark web to enrich himself. It is widely believed that he has abused more than 75 during his time on the dark web. Not to mention, that number has grown since 2023. Let's look into the depraved mind of Peter Scully, his crimes against innocent children, and eventually his long-awaited capture and arrest.
I can't believe the case is still growing in 2023. I'm also subscribed to this person. I didn't even know that.
He developed a property scheme that defrauded 20 investors of more than $2 million. Because of this, Scully became the focus of an investigation on suspicion of large-scale fraudulent activities and subsequently fled the country in 2011. He fled to an island off the coast of the Philippines.
This is where it gets gross, by the way. If you don't want to hear one of the most disgusting things you've ever heard on the internet, click off.
During his time in the Philippines, Peter Scully preyed on the weak and vulnerable. He found young victims by promising their poverty-stricken families that he could help them by offering food and education in exchange for sexual favors.
Jesus Christ.
He also had 2 Philippine accomplices who helped him lure his victims in. Scully was the mastermind behind a lucrative international child abuse ring that offered pay-per-view video streams on the dark web of being sexually abused and tortured. Among the victims who had their ordeals recorded and sold over the internet was a 5-year-old girl who was raped and tortured by Scully and his 2 female accomplices.
This is absolutely the most disgusting you could ever possibly do. You are a subhuman. The type of mental depravity that you'd have to reach to even consider doing something like this. And the story gets 10 times worse than that.
In another depraved incident, Scully and a girlfriend coaxed 2 teenage girls to come to Scully's house with the promise of food. Scully was alleged to have given the girls alcohol and forced them to perform sex acts between each other. When the girls tried to escape, Scully forced them to dig graves in the basement of the house.
Yup!
And threatened.
Before I finish this, I gotta step away from a second. I forgot how much this story pisses me off. Oh my God, dude. You sexually abused 2 teenage girls. You had them dig graves. I'm gonna let him finish what the happens next. This story is so disgusting.
That he would bury them there. After 5 days, the girls were released by Carmen, who began to feel remorse after coming home to see the 2 in pet collars. The most disturbing of these incidents is called Daisy's destruction. During his time on the dark web, Peter Scully operated a secret dark web forum called No Limits Fun. Scully produced his now notorious film, Daisy's Destruction, which he commercially sold and distributed on his site for up to $10,000.
Gross.
It features the torture and of 3 girls, including an 18-month-old infant, by Scully and his 2 girlfriends. Urged on by Scully, some of the most severe physical abuse was carried out on the children by one of his girlfriends, then 19-year-old Liza Margallo, who was formerly trafficked as a child. Due to the graphic content of Daisy's Destruction, it quickly garnered attention of law enforcement and media. The Dutch National Child Exploitation Team was the first to open an investigation with the goal of locating the victims. Investigators tracked down the 3 primary victims in Daisy's destruction. Liza, also known as victim number 1, was found to be alive, as was Daisy, also known as victim number 2, who had lasting physical injuries from her severe mistreatment. Unfortunately, the 3rd victim in Daisy's destruction was killed. Peter Scully recorded a video with Cindy, also known as victim number 3, in which he raped and tortured her, then made her dig her own grave before strangling her to death with a rope.
Yes, that's what the he did. That is the most egregious story of abuse that I've ever heard on the internet. Peter Scully was a monster. Disgusting person. I heard this years ago. So gross. This is why I will always be a paranoid, anxious, freaking out mom. Case File just did an episode on a similar dark websites and awful humans like him. Truly distributing. I think they meant truly disturbing. I don't know how many times I censored my curse words. I'm sorry. These are the only words I had to explain someone who is this disgusting. This is gross. You deserve maximum penalty for this. Someone in the comments said that they mentioned this here. I don't know if I would be able to do that for this ratings episode because this is an hour and 23-minute video, but I will cover that if people ask for it. There's no words for this. You're a disgusting, monstrous piece of shit. Goodbye. I think this is one of the only other disgusting people that I'm aware of was the man who changed his name to represent a religious deity, I believe. I don't know if this is the exact case. Maybe one day we'll run into a summary of this person. It made me think of it because of the title of this one, which is Richard Chase was an American serial killer and a necrophile who killed 6 people, drank their blood because he thought he was a vampire. This is one I have not heard of. This is from 1978. Play the disgusting person video.
Richard Chase, also known as the Vampire of
Is this the same YouTuber again? It is. Yo, Twisted Misfit, you're on it, brother.
Sacramento, was an American serial killer who terrorized California in the late 1970s. Richard Chase showed signs of mental illness at a young age, but his father, a strict and sometimes physically abusive parent, did little to get him help. As Richard grew up, he displayed signs of cruelty towards animals, and at one point was kicked out of his father's house and turned to drugs and alcohol, which exacerbated his mental illness.
I think, like, isn't that one of the first signs in a child if they murder random animals? I don't want to generalize that, but I think that's one of the first things. Am I right or wrong? Maybe that's just like something that's a myth. And I'm also assuming that it probably depends. Like, if you're a young teenager and you shoot a rat or you catch a rat in a rat trap, I don't think that's the same as maybe killing like a domesticated dog or cat or something like that. But I think that's like one of the first things that's a red flag in someone's mental.
So much so that he became convinced on several occasions that his heart had stopped beating and he was somehow a walking corpse.
Excuse me?
He lacked vitamin C. He would press whole oranges to the skin of his forehead, believing that his brain would absorb the nutrients directly. But the strangest and most powerful of these delusions were the ones that involved his skull. He felt that his cranial bones had split apart and begun to shift beneath his skin.
What?
Changing places and jumbling like puzzle pieces. He shaved his head in an effort to monitor their movements. At the age of 25, Chase was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and institutionalized in order to prevent him from becoming a danger to himself.
Okay, we have a diagnosis before he even does anything.
After he was caught trying to inject himself with rabbit's blood, which made him violently ill. His fascination with blood earned him the nickname Dracula among the psychiatric hospital assistants who witnessed him kill and attempt to drink the blood of several birds in an effort to stop poison that was in his mind turning his blood into powder. Later on, Richard Chase would be released back into society after the hospital declared him rehabilitated. But this was just the start of another sinister chapter in Richard's life.
Mental health is super serious. I'm going to have to research if that was even valid to release this person. Obviously, I'm going to have to research a lot of this. In these types of videos, the ratings, I don't want them to turn into slop, which is why I just rate them all above a 10. It's not a rookie score. It's just, this is not like a fake ghost video Photoshop like I've showed in previous rating episodes in the past.
His fascination with blood resurfaced, and he began capturing and killing small animals. He would eat them raw or blend their organs with soda and drink the mixture. Police also found Richard late one night in the Lake Tahoe area, covered in blood and a liver found inside a bucket. After determining the blood and organ belonged to a cow and not a human, Richard was let go.
They considered him rehabilitated. He went and drank blood from a cow. They let him go. To me, that's the first step down the slippery slope of not taking this person serious at all. We didn't escalate this at all. Wow.
27th, 1978, Richard Chase entered the home of Evelyn Meroth through an unlocked door. Inside the home were her 6-year-old son Jason Meroth, her 2-year-old nephew David Ferreira, and a friend named Dan Meredith. Once inside the home, Richard met Dan Meredith in the hallway and shot him in the head. Immediately after doing so, he took his car keys as an escape plan once the murder spree was over. Evelyn and Jason were found in Evelyn's bedroom. The little boy had been shot twice in the head.
What?
Evelyn was partially cannibalized. Her stomach was cut open and she had multiple organs missing. There was also a failed attempt to remove one of her eyes, and her corpse had been sodomized. The baby, David Ferreira, whom Evelyn Meroth had been babysitting, was missing from the scene of the crime. The child's decapitated corpse was found months later behind a church.
Oh my God!
A neighbor would hear the commotion that was going on and took it upon himself to go knock at the door. Richard was startled and fled. The neighbor would alert police, and not long after, the authorities were able to identify Chase's prints in Meroth's blood. When the police searched Chase's apartment, they found that all of his utensils were stained with blood, and his fridge contained human brains. Richard Chase was finally arrested. On December 26, 1980, Chase was found dead in his prison cell. An autopsy revealed that he killed himself with an overdose of prescribed medications.
I lived in Sacramento when this crime happened. Law enforcement could not find the body of the 22-month-old boy. He was found eviscerated inside a church near Chase's apartment. Chase had been institutionalized prior to these murders. I knew a former television journalist who covered this crime. He said there were unconfirmed reports that Chase would capture birds and drink their blood. Chase was convicted in 1979. In 1980, he amassed dozens of doses of antidepressants and committed suicide in his prison cell in San Quentin. In an interview, the lawyer who represented Chase said he was one of the most disturbed clients he's ever had. He was properly medicated, undertook therapy, and started to get a lot better, but his mother decided he didn't need his tablets and didn't need to do any therapeutic lessons he'd learned. She took his tabs away, set him up in an apartment alone, and let him slide back into crippling mental illness. I'm not saying he wouldn't have taken the path he did, but there's literal evidence of him realizing he was unwell and begging for help for mental illness. His mother simply believed that medication wasn't necessary and he just needed a routine to help his life. This is why I noted the mental health thing a quarter of the way through the video. Absolutely terrifying, absolutely gross. Speak to people in your life, check up on them, please. This is horrible. We're saying there's evidence that his mother was doing this, taking away his tablets, sure, but I think for me personally, the main idea is that we need to be very serious about mental health. I don't know, this is disturbing and sad even for the perpetrator of this, Richard Chase. This is like very sad for him. This is gross. Infinite out of 10. Infinitely disturbing. Infinitely one of the grossest things. This might just be turning into a twisted misfit episode of rating the internet's most disturbing videos, apparently. Mr. Cool is a moniker given to an unidentified man who committed multiple child abductions in Melbourne, Australia. To this day, he's never been identified.
In this video, we are going to be focused on an unidentified man who was also known as the Boogeyman, but he also went by another name, Mr. Cruel. He was given the moniker Mr. Cruel by police due to the brutal nature of his crimes, which included the abduction and sexual assault of young girls in Australia during the late 1980s and early 1990s. The name also reflects the cruel and calculated way he committed these offenses. In most cases, he stalked the victims and their families for days and ensured he left no forensic traces. His first of many crimes was recorded on August 22nd of 1987. According to police reports, a man wearing a ski mask broke into a family home at 4 a.m., armed with a knife and a handgun. He then tied their 6-year-old son to a bed using surgical tape and abused their 11-year-old daughter for 2 hours. He had also cut the
2 hours. Awesome. Was the first hour not enough to get the point across? You're disgusting, depraved piece of shit. Not enough. Another hour.
A year later, on December 27, 1988, Mr. Cruel struck again. This time, he snuck into a family's home through an unlocked back door. Once again, he was armed with a handgun and was covered by a ski mask. He first cut the phone lines and proceeded to bound and gag the sleeping parents of Sharon Wills. He demanded money and any other valuables the family had. Shortly after, he walked into Sharon Wills' room, collected a few items of her clothing, and abducted her.
I'm confused what he's even robbing them for if he's going to terrorize and continue to do depraved things. Whatever, there's another minute.
She was found 18 hours later walking on the grounds of Bayswater High School. On April 13th, 1991, 13-year-old Carmen Chan was babysitting her two younger sisters at their home when she encountered Mr. Cruel in her kitchen. He grabbed the young girl by the hair while at the same time pushing a bed against the door to trap her two sisters in another room.
Gross.
Before leaving the abduction site, Mr. Cruel left racist remarks on the Chan's vehicle that was parked outside.
Also gross.
Unfortunately, Carmen Chan would not be released like other victims before her. A year later, her decomposed body was found with 3 gunshot wounds to the head.
This is torture porn. Just blatant torture porn.
It is believed that she was murdered for multiple reasons, including she had seen her abductor's face, her abductor feared she would identify him, or a possible hate crime. Although there were multiple cases before Carmen Chan, she is believed to be the last known victim of Mr. Cruel. To this day, Mr. Cruel has never been identified. There is a $1.2 million reward for any information leading to the arrest of Mr. Cruel.
That's probably one of the most disturbing aspects of this. Just got away with it. Awesome. Mr. Cruel has never been identified, and his 3 confirmed attacks and suspected murder remain unsolved cold cases. In April 2016, 25 years after the death of Chan, Victoria police increased the reward for information that leads to the perpetrator's arrest and conviction from 100,000 Australian dollars to $1 million Australian dollars. If that's what Australian dollars means, this little A symbol. Police describe Mr. Cruel as highly intelligent. He meticulously planned each attack, conducted surveillance on the victims and their families, ensured to leave no forensic traces, protected his identity by covering his face at all times, and left red herrings to divert family and or police attention. He was soft-spoken and his behavior was unhurried. During one attack, he took a break in a victim's house to eat a meal. He threatened to injure his victims or their family members with a knife or a handgun. It has been reported that some detectives had doubts about whether this crime was committed by Mr. Cruel. Regarding the 13-year-old. Detective Chris O'Connor answered a journalist's question in 2013 about whether Mr. Cruel was responsible, saying, "We just don't know if it was Mr. Cruel who murdered Carmine. They say he almost certainly continues to collect pornography through the internet and may communicate with children using chat lines." There's a bunch of other reports of suspected attacks that the police just never released specific details for because they don't want to speculate. Horrifying that the police describe this person as someone so intelligent they can't pin it down. That's like a magnifier of this case. He's not outwardly doing the most disgusting Peter Scully thing. He's doing things almost as bad. Not that I want to even compare these two because these are just all disgusting people, but he's doing something almost as bad, getting away with it in a way that the police can't pin down. And that is really gross. I think relating any of the stories that we've covered so far in this video, they just don't equate. They're all disgusting and they're all gross, and it becomes very hard to rate these types of things, which is why I limit being on this Reddit for too much, because there's just no variability, and all of these are completely disgusting things that are different stories that need to be highlighted very specifically and accurately as we can. So yes, you're just another disgusting person who's ended up on rating the internet's most disturbing videos, and you don't even get a rating. You're just too gross. The crimes that you committed are just completely horrendous. You murdered a 13-year-old. You put bullets in her head because she was going to identify you, presumably. You're gross. And when I say you're gross, I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying like you are fucking really gross. There's no other way around it. You are borderline satanic, and it pisses me off. So I'm gonna get off this video because I think I started off the video yelling. I'm like teetering on like that yelling thing again. I click off your video. You're a gross individual. All right, palate cleanse. I gotta see some ghost videos. Some scary videos that will make you believe the supernatural.
In this chilling video, a woman home alone at night with her dogs in a remote area is suddenly awakened by knocking on her door.
Oh my god, I don't know if it's gonna happen again. It just happened again. Move, 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 move. nobody there.
Okay, I think I might do all 10 of these. It depends on how this goes. We have some knocking at the door. We have a dog that is curious of what's going on at the door. And then we have no one at the door. If it's real, ding dong ditch, someone just knocking on your door and hiding, could that be potentially disturbing and scary? Yeah. I think in order to like give a real rating on this, we would need a lot more context of what's actually going on, which I don't think we'll get. This is not a staged video specifically for posting purposes in the month of October, something like that. Yeah, it's disturbing because this could be someone trying to break in and do something malicious to the victim here, but we don't really have anything. This is just a not enough context video. I put it right in the middle, 5 out of 10 disturbing. The dog growling in the beginning actually kind of weirded me out. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was the noise, but it's just a dog. There's 10 of these apparently. We'll see if these go uphill or downhill.
Check out this chilling video of a man on his remote property when his daughter claims she sees somebody watching her in the distance in the woods. As the father investigates, he catches something truly terrifying on camera.
You ever bought a home with a f***ing hole? I advise go in it. No.
This is in his home and it's leading to this cave. I have to bring that back just a little bit.
You ever bought a home with a f***ing hole? I advise go in it. No f***ing way, Jimmy. Oh my God, bro. Are you f***ing kidding me? No f***ing way, Jimmy. Oh my God, bro. Are you f***ing kidding me?
Wow. I've heard of nightmare stories like this, and I don't know where many of them go. That's 10 out of 10 disturbing potential right there. If that's real, he's claiming he bought this home. I don't see why he would lie about that for a video unless he's trying to propel viewership. That is super disturbing to just have this in your home, because there's a lot of stories of people who find secret things in their own home when they buy it, holes made by previous owners and stuff like that. I'd like to say it's real, and I'd like to say it's 10 out of 10 disturbing. I just don't have the context to like really get into it, but from my short Google search, I think I did see a story of someone saying that they bought a home that was very old, built in the 1800s. They had a cellar where this type of thing was found. I thought he said that there was a person he saw. I don't think we saw a person, did we? Let me see. Is that a person right here? I see a pallet. Maybe could be feasible evidence to other things that this was used for. I don't know. Someone was mining under here. I think that's all I can really say about that.
In this terrifying video, a woman is home alone in her kitchen when suddenly poltergeist activity erupts around her.
I've just put the camera on. There's quite a bit of activity tonight in the kitchen.
Of course, when it comes to paranormal activity, we have no video quality. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt and say that it was in a camcorder VHS era.
Just banging that cupboard door. What do you want me to do?
I'm looking for a fishing line that could be smashing this back and forth. Maybe I can date this video with the cereal box and find out what year this is. I don't see like a house phone or anything. If I could see a house phone, I could say maybe it's before the year 2015 or something like that. Then again, someone could still have a house phone or a landline. But I think a real tell would be, what is this cereal box? Okay, I found it. It's actually cat food. It looks like it says Whiskas, and this is a purple box with a yellow top, right? Yeah, I see the cat now. I think this is the exact box almost. Yeah. Yeah. My little stint of research here shows that you can still buy this box. It's not going to debunk this entire thing. So far, I don't think there's a real feasible reason for the video quality to be so downgraded. And if the video is downgraded intentionally or recorded on dated technology in a time where we have iPhones that are better than high quality cameras, then this is all intentional. The quality of the video also is a little bit worse, so we can't see a fishing line or something that's controlling this cabinet door to provide the result of something that looks paranormal. I want to just say that this is obviously not real at all. Then again, it is pretty hard to get me to believe a lot of paranormal things. I'm still open to the subject. I'm still open to someone showing me feasible paranormal content. You know, you can still buy this box, so I really don't know what to tell you. The video quality doesn't need to be this low. 4 out of 10 disturbing. I think there's like 6 more videos left.